You read the title, so you know what it is. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so finally F-150 is in the shop, and as the title said, I am going to be putting this GT manifold on. I've got some footage from where I worked at the previous shop. This was a stock manifold that I ended up porting myself, so I have some footage of me doing that porting, and I talked about getting it on the dyno, doing some before and after dyno pulls. Well, I no longer work there and unfortunately don't have access to that dyno. So today we're just going to be slapping this thing on, and then I'll be tuning it myself. Oh yeah, I need to quit doing this walking around talking thing, kind of stay in one place and focus on the camera. Bad habit, so I gotta quit walking around. But anyway, I've got part of the intake out already. Still got to undo the injectors and get some other bolts done, but there's lots of videos of that, so I'm not going to film all that. So let's get this thing installed. As I say that, I'm probably going to go ahead and cut to the old clips of me porting this intake, and then let's get back to me. I'll probably have this intake off by the time y'all come back, and then we'll get to the install. 18 Mustang GT intake manifold here, and I am working on porting it myself. So I just figured I'd show you guys what exactly I'm doing, and I do have a dyno over here that I do plan on putting the truck on for a before and after, so look out for a future video for that. But at least this video, I just want to kind of show you what I'm doing with the intake, because a lot of, like, you can buy an intake, you can buy them ported, not ported, whatever, and I'm just doing it myself. I didn't want to pay somebody a bunch of money to have a ported intake. I got this one cheap off a marketplace from a guy that was local, Mustang, that had just put a Pro Charger on and a Boss intake, so I was able to come by this one pretty cheap. And then I was like, why not just try porting it myself? So I guess I'm gonna just get right into it and show y'all what I'm doing with the intake. As far as the intake goes, it was stock. The IMRCs have been locked out with zip ties. I will probably end up making a lockout piece. I've got access to a little bit of a machine shop over here, so I'll probably end up doing that myself as well. But anyway, so the intake itself is stock right now, stock port, blah 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 blah. So whenever, oh well, so right there you can see all the plastic I have already took off. So these things, there's not a whole lot that you can do to as far as the porting goes. It's not like some old school heads or intakes where there's a bunch of material that you can take off to get a bunch of flow, but there are some imperfections in the molding of these plastic intakes that you can kind of clean up to improve the flow. So as far as the cleaning it up goes, I've got this little pencil grinder. I think I got this thing from Harbor Freight for fairly cheap, and then I've got a burr bit. Now, a lot of people will do this with sand, the little sanding wheels, which works perfectly fine. This is a little faster, but it's also gonna be, you gotta be a lot more careful if you ever use one of these on a plastic intake, because this will eat right through it, and you'll definitely punch a hole in your intake before you know it. So you gotta be very careful. But that is what I am actually using to do my porting. Let me grab a light here so I can show you inside the ports. So on the stock ports, you see that flash down there at the bottom? So it's pretty smooth runner. And then those down inside there, where the top and bottom piece of that intake are molded together, there's like melted plastic basically that kind of comes into the runner. So if you know anything about airflow, the air is going to want to stick to the fastest traveling section of the intake. So on these runners, they loop around. So the air is going to hang on the outside the most. So the most of your airflow is going to come through the top from the outside. So all this roughness that is on that section So you got some there at the top where the injector section meets, and then some down there at the bottom where this section. So you can kind of see the sections out here. So this same plastic that is sticking out here, protruding here and here, all that is protruding on the inside, and that causes the air to kind of tumble and not flow freely. So if you can clean that up, smooth that out so that air can flow easier, you'll have much better results with the intake. So that's what I've been doing down here. So I kind of grinded the whole port just to kind of make everything even, but I didn't take off a ton of material. The only spots that I am taking material is where those plastic spots join. So, and then just making it a smoother transition. Which this is just the beginning. I'll end up going back over all of these ports with sandpaper to kind of clean it up, make it nice and smooth. You don't want it like perfectly smooth on an intake. Like on a exhaust port you would polish. You do not polish intake ports. And then on the big opening, I'll be getting rid of these fins and then kind of cleaning up some of this edge here, and then just cleaning up some down along the edges on the inside there. So, well, let's change my light. There we go. So yeah, that big seam there. But yeah, so I'll do all that cleanup, and I'll probably check back with you once I get this thing done. This is just kind of like a update in the middle of it, kind of the intro to it. So I'll probably take my time, get this thing, port it all up, show you all the finished product. Intake is off. So I will say, I watched a couple videos and they don't really explain this backside too very well at all, actually. So the harness comes across the back and it connects. Hold on, let me get a better picture. So the harness comes across the back, connects here, which you can see I broke this little zip tie, and here. So that keeps you from pulling it forward once you get the intake loose. Getting to these two and this connector, kind of a pain, but once I realized I could pop those little pieces on the harness to get it loose, like holds it there and up there. So I was able to kind of pick up the front, rotate it to the side, and got those two connectors. One for the IMRC control and the map sensor. So I still haven't drilled my hole and the map sensor for the other intake, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself, and I'm walking around again. So I think from here, I'm going to figure out where I want to put the map sensor and what all hoses I got to deal with up here. I've watched a few videos on this of other guys doing it. I just need to figure out what hoses swap over, and then we'll get this new one in and get that tune loaded. So I'll probably get back with you once I kind of figure some of this stuff out. Probably get the new intake. I'll probably show you the map sensor once I get it mounted. How about that? Sensor is installed. All right, so I did use some RTV and the O-ring. I tried to do it clean and neat. The tape is where I had Joey blow some smoke into the intake, and we kind of made sure that it wasn't leaking. So hopefully that thing don't leak, but now it's going to go back inside. All right, so got that installed. Got these vacuum lines figured out. So on this model, this evap purge solenoid, a little bit of hose here, attached it to the bottom side of it, and then I was still able to get my connector there. I might end up deleting later. I do want to upgrade to catch cans at some point. I've got like 100,000 miles on this truck, so I just want to keep all that oil out of the intake. This one, I'm using the stock air box for now. I want to do something custom, but I always want to do it myself, and then it just makes more work. So maybe if I find a cheap intake for a good price that overall works well, I might just go that route, but I don't know. So got the map sensor plugged in on the back, got everything buttoned up. This vacuum line used to go back to the back. It now comes up to the front to this port that is right there. And then this other port right here goes here. And then this one yeah, okay, so this one goes there. That one that, never mind, the one that goes to the back, I actually modified it, goes here. So I trimmed it up, heated up the plastic, put this little check valve in it, and took it over to here. So now to tune it. So I've got HP tuners myself. I have taken some Coyote classes. So let's see if I can get this tune right. I know I got to turn off the IMRCs in the tune. There's obviously going to be a little bit of RPM difference and stuff because you lose some low end torque with this intake, but you pick up some top end. So it's only a couple hundred RPM from factory whenever you're just doing the intake. But yeah, so let's see if I can get this thing tune loaded and get this thing started. The tune loaded in. Not a whole lot going on crazy here. Like I said, this is a stock truck mostly outside of that intake. So not much that I needed to change. As long as everything starts up and drives all right, I'm going to just drive it home. I'm not going to do too much. It's piss pouring rain right now. So let's just see if it starts up and then I can finish off this video. Yeah, I got a tire fault, so my light's flashing. But it started up, idling fine. I really don't think there's going to be too much of a problem here, but you'll just have to find out in the next video. That's going to be it for this one. If you made it this far, be sure to hit that like and subscribe. I still got a long ways to go to get this channel monetized, so any like, any subscribe, any like helps. So I think that's going to be it for this one. See y'all next time.